Yeah.
Welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, taking a look at the first Responder Bowl, a game featuring two surprise teams in 2020, and a game that might be closer than you think. We've got number 19, Louisiana, out of the Sun Belt, and Texas, San Antonio, out of the Conference USA. Both teams having a phenomenal 2020 season. So, of course, we're going to break down the backstory for both of these teams, how they got to this first Responder Bowl, the offense, the defense, the keys to the game, and who we have winning this bowl game down in Dallas. We take a look at Louisiana. They're the 19th ranked team in the country. And I would say that the Raging Cajuns have done kind of what we expected. They may have exceeded expectations in a way with that huge road win in the season opener against Iowa State, with the very impressive road victory at Appalachian State. Remember, the Raging Cajuns are 9-1. The only loss they have this year is a 3-point loss to Coastal Carolina, who is the 12th ranked team in the country. The Raging Cajuns, of course, would have had that rematch against the Chanticleers, but the Sun Belt Conference Championship was unfortunately canceled. So the Raging Cajuns, doing great this year, top 20 team in the country. They're facing off against a Roadrunner squad that has surprised everybody. They're making their first bowl appearance since 2016. They're 7-4 in year one under a brand new head coach in Jeff Traylor. Phenomenal recruiter, but has shown that he can even be a better head coach, taking over a Roadrunners program that's been really towards the bottom of the Conference USA standings, and now, again, bringing them to their first bowl game since 2016. One other thing you want to look at here between the Raging Cajuns and the Roadrunners before we dive deeper into the analysis is we said this could be a game that's better than you think. I think everybody is picking Louisiana to win in a landslide. They look at this and they say, Louisiana should have had a better opponent, not an unranked Texas San Antonio team. But listen to this, guys. 6 of the 11 games that Texas San Antonio has played this year, 6 of those 11 have been decided by one possession. That includes just a 7-point loss to BYU. Louisiana, they're number 19. They almost weren't number 19. They almost weren't even making the Sun Belt Championship game because 6 of their 10 games have been decided by one possession. So both these teams, neither are strangers to close games, neither are strangers to one-possession games, and I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a one-possession game, one that came down to the wire down in Dallas. So let's take a look at the offenses here, and we'll start with Billy Napier's squad over in Louisiana. You look, the numbers for both these teams are very similar. The style of play is very similar. Louisiana, they're averaging 33.9 points per game, 422.6 total yards per game. They're a very, very balanced team. But what the Raging Cajuns like to do is they like to run the football. Levi Lewis at quarterback is great, and he's got some dangerous dual threat abilities. Has over 300 rushing yards on the year. But the players you got to watch out for if you're the Texas San Antonio defense, and even if you're just a casual fan, got to watch out for Elijah Mitchell and Trey Regis, the dynamic running back duo for Louisiana that is combined for over 1,400 rushing yards and 16 touchdowns this year. Louisiana obviously is a more run-heavy team. They're a more run-heavy team. They want to enforce their will on the ground. And in doing so, they can set up the pass with Levi Lewis, another dual-threat quarterback. That RPO offense, so difficult to stop, taking over college football. The Raging Cajuns run it extremely well. Texas San Antonio, look at what Jeff Traylor's done with this program. They're averaging 28.6 points per game, 413.9 yards per game, numbers that Roadrunner fans couldn't even imagine just a few years ago. But yet here they are, one of the more efficient offenses within the Conference USA. And like Louisiana, they're a run-heavy team. They're a run-heavy team, and their go-to guy is Sincere McCormick, who alone has nearly the amount of rushing yards that Mitchell and Regis have combined. McCormick has 1,345 rushing yards on the year, 11 rushing touchdowns. McCormick has rushed for at least 130 yards in 6 of the 11 games for the Roadrunners this season. And like Louisiana, Texas San Antonio has a dual-threat quarterback, Frank Harris, who's thrown for over 1,400 yards and 10 touchdowns, has also rushed for over 400 yards and 8 touchdowns. Is Harris as good as Levi Lewis? Probably not. Experience-wise, probably not. But he does have the capability to make plays both through the air and on the ground, making this team, this Texas San Antonio offense, a lot more difficult to stop than I think people think. This is one of those teams that you probably haven't watched coming into the postseason, haven't probably paid attention to. And we're all going to see what they're made of on the national stage down in Dallas. You look at the defense. Louisiana, to me, owns the slight edge in this game over the Roadrunners. The Raging Cajuns are allowing 21.8 points per game. Not a bad mark at all. But they are very generous against the pass, I would say. Or generous against the run, I would say. Allowing 180.9 rushing yards per game. So that spells a big day for Sincere McCormick on the ground. And you know Jeff Traylor and the Roadrunners are going to try to pound it and enforce their will on the ground as much as they can. If Louisiana can't figure out their rushing defense, why would you decide to pass? Why wouldn't you keep running it with one of, if not the best running back in the Conference USA? The one thing Louisiana does a great job of, rushing defense maybe not so much, they do a great job of forcing turnovers. The Raging Cajuns have forced 21 turnovers on the year. 15 of those 21 were interceptions. So Harris, he's probably not going to want to throw the ball that much. And when he does, he's got to make very good decisions because you cannot lose the turnover battle to Louisiana and still win the game. It's just not going to happen. So the Roadrunners automatically have to take a better care of the football, have to take great care of the football. That secondary for Louisiana is ridiculous, which is why, again, still might be the safer bet to just run it as much as you can, either with McCormick or maybe you take off with some design QB runs with Frank Harris. Texas San Antonio, their defense, nothing to frown about either, allowing just 25.2 points per game. Unlike Louisiana, they're more generous against the pass. They're allowing 228.1 passing yards per game compared to 152.9 rushing yards per game. The one thing you want to watch out for here, another thing that Texas San Antonio does extremely well, Louisiana's, there's a turnover. Texas San Antonio, their strength is creating pressure on the quarterback. They have 25 sacks on the year. They've done a phenomenal job of racking up pressure, and even if they're not sacking the quarterback hurries, a couple knockdowns, a couple errant throws that they have forced. They do a great job of breaking through that offensive line. This front seven for the Roadrunners, very, very dangerous. Thing is, Louisiana's offensive line has been one of the best in the Sun Belt this year. They've only allowed 9 sacks in 2020. So that's a battle you want to watch out for. Does Texas San Antonio continue to create pressure on Levi Lewis? Do they continue to get tackles for a loss and stuff the run against Mitchell and Regis? Or does Louisiana's offensive line hold strong, create the lanes for their running game that they rely so heavily on, and give Levi Lewis time to make the throws? That's going to be a major key in battle you want to watch out for in this game. So what are going to be the keys in this game? We mentioned those. Those aren't even the main keys for us, but obviously battles that you have to watch out for and will play a major role in this First Responder Bowl. But the first key I have for the Raging Cajuns and for the Roadrunners is quarterback play. Again, we mentioned how similar statistically and style-wise these two offenses are. Louisiana and Texas San Antonio, they're not that different. Very similar dual threat quarterbacks. They like to run the ball very effectively. So my first key is quarterback play. You look at a game dominated by McCormick, dominated by Mitchell and Regis. That's great. But someone's quarterback's going to have to make a big play every now and then. Which one is it going to be? Which quarterback steps up? That could be a design QB run, making the right read, making a good pass. Look, when you have a game that's going to be dominated by run, the play action is always going to be available. Which quarterback makes the throw off of the play action, makes the right decision off of the play action? Is it going to be Levi Lewis or is it going to be Frank Harris? Another key here, might sound cliche, but we're talking about close encounters here. We talked about how this game has the potential to be good, has a chance to be close. Again, something that a lot of people don't think is going to happen. Louisiana is 5-1 in their one-possession games this year. They're 9-1 on the year. 5-1 in one-possession games, only lost by 3 at home to Coastal Carolina. The Roadrunners, they're 4-2 in one-possession games. Their only losses to BYU by 7 and to UAB by 8. So 4-2 in their one-possession games. Each has played the same exact amount of one-possession games. Which team has that clutch gene? That's kind of what we're looking at here. Which team has the clutch gene? Which team can, if it is down to the final 2 minutes, the game's tied, you need a field goal or you need to go tie it, whatever it is, whatever scenario you're looking at, if it's a close game, which one has the ability to come up with either a big stop to seal the win or has the offense and the confidence enough to march all the way down the field and win or tie the game? Which team has that clutch gene? They both have experienced close encounters. Both have experienced both sides of those close encounters. The thrill of victory and just the horrible feeling of defeat. That's what we're looking at here. So again, quarterback play, the guy that could be responsible for coming through clutch in the close encounters, then of course how they do fare if it is in fact a close game. So in the first responder bowl, guys, down in Dallas, what is going to happen? I tell you, I do believe it's going to be close. I don't necessarily think Louisiana runs away with this game. Again, the fact they've had 6 one-possession games concerns me. They very well could have lost to Appalachian State, could have lost to Georgia Southern, could have lost to Georgia State. They did lose to Coastal Carolina. I mean, so many one-possession games this year, guys, where you look and you say, they're a good team, don't get me wrong. They are a good team, don't get me wrong. But they're a few plays away from being not 9-1, but 7-3 or 6-4. A few plays away from being mediocre in the Sun Belt, not even having a chance to play for their conference title. But you look at all those things combined, both sides of the ball here. I know I ragged on them a little bit, but I'm still picking Louisiana. I'm still picking the Raging Cajuns to win the first responder bowl. When you look at the numbers, when you look at the experience, the Raging Cajuns have it everywhere. They have it everywhere. They own the quarterback edge with Levi Lewis. They own the running back edge with Elijah Mitchell and Trey Regas. McCormick is unbelievable for the Roadrunners, but he's one guy. The Raging Cajuns have 2. You can't have McCormick playing all the time. Got to give him some rest. Mitchell or Regas needs rest, that's fine. You just put the other one in. And Louisiana also, to me, owns the coaching edge. Jeff Traylor has done a phenomenal job with the Roadrunners, one of the better coaching jobs of the year that no one's talking about. But Louisiana's got Billy Napier, a guy that, like Bill Clark over at UAB that we mentioned earlier, I think he's long overdue for a Power 5 job. I'm surprised Napier hasn't taken one yet. He's a phenomenal head coach. A phenomenal head coach. And Louisiana's got a bunch of seniors on this team that have been built up by Napier, who has made Louisiana a perennial Sun Belt Conference title contender. Has made them a team that should be feared by Power 5 opponents. And in this game here, I believe that the Raging Cajuns wear down the Roadrunners and clinch their second straight double-digit win season. They will finish the year at 10-1, 7-5 for the Roadrunners, an unreal season for them. Traylor will have Texas San Antonio as a perennial Conference USA title contender very, very soon. So guys, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. We've got Louisiana, the 19th ranked team in the country, winning the first responder bowl over Texas San Antonio. As always, make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, and share our videos. And also make sure to check out everything down in the description below. We have exclusive content all down there for you. Our GE merchandise, our Patreon account, our expert picks, our against the spread picks for every single bowl game this year. All of that can be found over on our website, thegridironexpert.com, as well as countless other college football news, analysis, and offers that I promise you do not want to miss. And once again, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on The Gridiron Expert.